Hello everyone, today I'm going to have a different video than my usual movie reviews. Today I'm going to talk about remakes, the rinse, recycle, repeat action of remakes. Whether or not it's remakes of classic films, remakes of classic animated films, or sequels that borrow a familiar plot from a classic original film. This decade has seen its share of remakes, and I just saw The Lion King. It was visually stunning, but the voice work and some of the music I felt held the film back. It's strange, a 90-minute film had more story than a 2-hour carbon copy. And I wonder, why is that? So after seeing The Lion King, I've been thinking about Hollywood remakes and what exactly makes a good or bad remake. Now, this isn't just my opinion. This is really open to discussion. This is really more of a discussion piece. What do you think about remakes? What qualifies a good versus bad remake? What do you think about Hollywood right now? We've seen a lot of franchises remake classic things, and a lot of times it's just cash grabs. It's for the money rather than the art. And I want to briefly go over remakes and what exactly qualifies for a good or bad remake. Now, Hollywood has always remade classic properties such as like Shakespearean works like Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet. They've had numerous remakes. Heck, even Dracula by Bram Stoker has had numerous remakes. But those remakes have their own identity, a director that brings a certain vision that differentiates it from other properties. You could tell the difference between Bela Lugosi's Dracula to Frank Langella to Gary Oldman and Bram Stoker's Dracula. You could tell a difference between Laurence Olivier's Hamlet to Mel Gibson's Hamlet. It's just interesting seeing that. I felt like we had more original ideas, or should I say more smaller films. Now, it's not just remakes, it's franchises that are being remade, you know? And why is that? We're missing the middle class of films in Hollywood. And it kind of bothers me because The Lion King, I mean, it's entertaining, but it's very forgettable. If somebody had a gun to my head and said, choose the 94 film or the new film, I'm going to choose a 94 film. There's a reason why it's a timeless classic. And Disney's been having soulless remakes. It's not just the Disney live-action animated films like Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, Jungle Book, Lion King. No. Star Wars The Force Awakens and Last Jedi felt soulless. They were carbon copies of the original trilogy in many ways. Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010 was a carbon copy, lacked the soul and something from the original. Friday the 13th. All these movies were remade, had a familiar property, and were just rather soulless and forgettable compared to their original predecessors. And yeah, it bothers me. Now, there are some great remakes. You know, you have The Girl with Dragon Tattoo. I love the Swedish version. But David Fincher brought his own style and eye to that film. Rooney Mara, Daniel Craig made it their own. Peter Jackson's King Kong from 2005 is a spectacular film, among one of the best remakes. You had Infernal Affairs remade with The Departed. The Departed was a fantastic film, Best Picture winner. And then you have the horror genre, and I feel like the horror genre has the best example of remakes. You know, you have John Carpenter's The Thing, which not only is a remake of the original film, but in some ways follows it. He brings his own style, vision to that film. And you also have David Cronenberg's The Fly, completely different from the original, and maybe even better, more of a superior film, so to speak. Evil Dead is another example of being completely different from the original, but also being a lot edgier, more scary, but still paying homage to what came before. Now, on the bad example, you have Halloween and Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. Those aren't great remakes. Halloween did not need a remake, but it had its own style. You could definitely tell it was a Rob Zombie film. And then we get onto the thread of re-quels now. We have an upcoming RoboCop film, but we also have Halloween from 2018, which ignores the events of Halloween 2 onto Resurrection. So in many ways, it's the same movie, but 40 years later. It's crazy how that works with sequels, you know? You have Superman Returns, great film, but kind of familiar like Superman the movie. Force Awakens is totally like A New Hope. Last Jedi is kind of an amalgam of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Jurassic World is another example of cashing in on nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia and trying to recycle an old idea. And you know, I love nostalgia, but if I wanted nostalgia, I would go get a VHS and relive my childhood rather than dealing with a half-assed remake. And that's my point. What is the point, you know? Money. It's a cash grab. Unfortunately, it is. But back to my point with Mad Max, it was a great film, won awards, but it wasn't a juggernaut at the box office like Jurassic World or Star Wars. Same thing with Blade Runner 2049. Probably one of the best sequels I've seen. Like, it actually had a story to tell, visually stunning, won a cinematography award as well as others. It didn't hit big at the box office. Now, some of that is because of the age of the original film. People thought it was like, wait, Blade? What's Blade Runner? Is it Blade the Vampire Hunter? No. But see, that's my point. They cash in on stuff that's familiar, and they remake it. Same thing with Ghostbusters. And sometimes it backfires when they try to put their own politics and a certain agenda behind it. And that's one thing I'm getting tired of, but I can make a whole other video going over that. The point is, remakes have always existed, but we don't have our smaller, either independent or middle-class films. And by that, I mean films like The Godfather, Rocky. Would those films be made now? I don't think so. And it's sad. That's the current state of Hollywood we're at. We're either going to see independent films, stuff like Booksmart, or we're going to see Avengers Endgame. That's pretty much like the only two mediums. Very rarely do you see a film do really good at the box office if it's kind of a middle-class film, usually be on Redbox or Netflix. Netflix has had quite a year with Murder Mystery and Always Be My Maybe. So I find it interesting in that regard with movies, smaller movies, moving to other platforms other than the theater chains. But remakes, we've seen many remakes, and they're not going to stop. I want to see a Black Cauldron remake from Disney, something. Bring a new spin to it. But no, people love it. They love laughing at stupid jokes and, oh, this is great because it's nostalgic. No, again, I would watch a VHS or relive my childhood. Watch the original if I wanted to deal with nostalgia. People my age growing up and older, maybe even younger, I'm not going to put anyone to the side here. Human beings in general can watch older films and fall in love with them if they're classics. Anybody, I tell you right now, has watched The Wizard of Oz. It's a film from 1939. That is a great film. People watch The Shining, Dr. Strangelove, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. They've watched the Rockies. And even then, the Creed movies are kind of like a Rocky remake / Rocky 7 and 8. Creed is pretty much like Rocky 1, but with Adonis Creed and a cancer plot line added in there. So it's very interesting to see the formula that is going on in films. And I think everybody can enjoy an original. A couple of remakes that I highly love. I actually think they're good despite the criticisms. I love The Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, even though it should be The Kung Fu Kid. And I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But after a couple of years, they're kind of forgotten about. You know what they go back to? The original Karate Kid with Ralph Macchio and the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka. Candy is dandy, but wine is fine. And that's my point. Movies that are timeless will always be timeless. They'll always be classics. And what is the point of remaking stuff? I was just thinking about that after seeing Lion King, because it reminded me a lot of Gus Van Sant's Psycho. It paid homage to the original. It was respectful, but it lacked the heart of the original. And why are there so many remakes if you're not going to do anything with it? And mind you, that's one of the films that was damned if you do, damned if you don't. People were going to complain about Lion King if it was too different, and they're going to complain about it if it was too similar. But what I'm getting at is that what's the point of these remakes? It all goes down to cash. If you don't have a story to tell, if you don't have a new perspective to bring, your remake's going to fail. Look at the best and worst remakes. The best remakes always stand on their own, do something or adapt something from the original, excel on it in some way. The best remakes have done that throughout cinema history. And I just wanted to leave you with this right here on this video, just my brief thoughts and just kind of reflection on the state of remakes in Hollywood. It's definitely a rinse, recycle, repeat, not only on plot and type of genres, but like the Marvel Cinematic Universe jokes and everything. Wink, wink, let's have nostalgia. Sure, let's mention this so people would feel the way they did about the original. But you're missing the soul and heart of the originals and what made them special to begin with. You're missing the point of what made those movies to begin with. Anyway, those are just my brief thoughts. Let me know what you think about the state of remakes in Hollywood. What are some of your favorite all-time remakes ever made? Feel free to let me know down in the comments below. Again, you can follow me in the Stardust app at Fred Film Fanatic. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Here are some of my recent videos you can check out on my channel. Till next time, let me know what you think about the remakes, everyone.